Is Donald Trump seeking an exit from the ongoing war against Iran? A bombshell report from the Wall Street Journal has claimed that the U.S. president's advisors have privately urged him to look for an exit plan amid spiking oil prices and concerns that a lengthy conflict could spark political backlash. While speaking to reporters in Florida, Trump had claimed that the U.S. military had mostly achieved its goals.
So we're winning very decisively. We're way ahead of schedule. Our military is the greatest in the world, with the greatest equipment and the greatest people in the world. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. Iran's a very powerful country. They were going to take over the Middle East. If we did not hit them, they were going to take over the Middle East. They had thousands and thousands since their last hit. They had thousands and thousands of missiles and everything else. Most are now destroyed. But they were going to take over the Middle East. Those weapons were aimed at Middle Eastern countries that had nothing to do with this. They were going to take over the Middle East, and they were going to try and destroy Israel. So we stopped it with good timing, and we're very proud to be involved in this, and it's going to be ended soon. And if it starts up again, they'll be hit even harder.
You promised the Iranian people you would help them, but it sounds like you're willing to end this fight after your military objectives have wrapped up. Isn't that a betrayal of the people?
Will I help them?
Will
I help them? I'd like to, if they can behave. But they've been very menacing. You know, they're great people. They have an amazing population. It's amazing, smart, brilliant, energetic. They have a great, I'd love to help them, but they have to be in a system that allows them to be helped. And right now they're in a system that only allows failure. And I don't want that. And I want a system that's not going to be attacking us. We want a system that can lead to many years of peace. And if we can't have that, we might as well get it over with right now. Yeah, please.
According to the WSJ report, some Trump administration officials said that as long as Tehran continued to attack regional countries and Israel still wanted to strike Iranian targets, it was unlikely Washington, D.C. could easily withdraw from the war. Trump had said he was prepared to continue targeting Iran if the country continued blocking the flow of oil through the Strait of Hormuz. Trump won't stop fighting until he can claim a satisfactory victory, a senior administration official told the Wall Street Journal, especially when the U.S. has a military advantage. Last week, Trump, in a Truth Social post, said there will be no deal with Iran except unconditional surrender. On Monday, Trump told the New York Post he was nowhere near issuing such an order. Later, the U.S. president said, "We could go further, and we're going to go further." Trump has hinted in public and told aides in private that he would back the killing of new Iranian Supreme Leader Mojtaba Khamenei if he proves unwilling to cede to U.S. demands, current and former U.S. officials told the Wall Street Journal. His comments came as oil prices surged, then fell, adding to already existing concern among Trump's allies over the economic costs and political fallout of the war. According to the WSJ report, some of Trump's advisors have encouraged him to articulate a plan to extract the U.S. from the war and make the case that the military had largely achieved its objectives, according to people familiar with the matter. While many in the president's conservative base still support the initial operation, some of the president's advisors have privately expressed concerns that a longer war could deplete that support. Trump has been briefed on some polling about the war, the People said. Public polls released in recent days show that most Americans oppose the war. Some of Trump's advisors watched with alarm as oil prices shot to over $100 a barrel. They have also fielded calls about the midterm elections from some nervous Republicans, according to people familiar with the matter. As per the report, Trump's team concluded they needed a more aggressive communications plan to sell the public on the war, as many consumers deal with rising gas prices. White House Press Secretary Karoline Leavitt rejected the news report, saying it was full of crap from anonymous sources who I can guarantee are not in the room with President Trump. The president's top aides are focused 24/7 on ensuring Operation Epic Fury continues to be a tremendous success, and the end of these operations will ultimately be determined by the commander-in-chief. Anger over the war with Iran is being felt across continents, from the streets of Tehran to protests in the United States. Large rallies have erupted in multiple Iranian cities as thousands of people gathered to pledge allegiance to the country's new supreme leader, Ayatollah Mojtaba Khamenei. Crowds poured into public squares in Tehran, Shiraz, Kerman, Ahvaz, Tabriz, and several other cities. In the capital, demonstrators gathered at Enqilab Square, waving Iranian flags and chanting slogans including "Death to the US" and "Death to Israel," expressing defiance amid the escalating conflict. The rallies came shortly after Iran's Assembly of Experts officially appointed Mojtaba Khamenei as the new leader of the Islamic Revolution. The 88-member clerical body announced the decision hours after confirming the death of former Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei in recent strikes. Participants at the rallies said they were determined to stand behind the new leadership during what Iranian officials describe as one of the most serious confrontations the country has faced in decades. Meanwhile, opposition to the war is also being voiced in the United States. Dozens of anti-war demonstrators gathered outside Los Angeles City Hall, calling for an end to the conflict and criticizing Washington's role in the escalating crisis. Protesters were seen waving Iranian flags and holding placards reading "No blood for oil" and "No war." Some participants also carried Mexican flags, while speakers addressed the crowd and urged the United States to avoid further military escalation. Several protesters argued that the war does not represent the interests of ordinary Americans. They warned that continued military action could draw more countries into the confrontation and increase the risk of a broader global conflict.
Iran has not attacked the United States. Iran has defended itself. The United States and Israel have spent decades building military forces around Iran. They finally struck them illegally.
This war was solely a war fought on behalf of the Israeli Zionists and without any consideration for the American people or anyone else in the region. Other countries will come to a point where they will feel they have to step in and do the right thing. And so I see that as definitely something that's going to happen. And God forbid that we end up with World War III, but the potential is very much there.
I don't think Trump thinks at all, first off, but right now it's a little bit deeper than this. He's trying to distract us from the Epstein files.
In a stunning escalation of the widening Middle East conflict, the United States has ordered the first mandatory evacuation of embassy personnel in Saudi Arabia since the war began. The decision came after a series of Iranian strikes across the region, attacks that are now reaching some of Washington's most sensitive diplomatic and intelligence facilities. According to the United States Department of State, non-essential American embassy staff and their families have been ordered to leave Saudi Arabia immediately due to rising security threats. For weeks, U.S. officials had only allowed voluntary departures. Now, the situation has changed. Washington is pulling personnel out, a sign that the threat level has reached a new and alarming stage. The evacuation comes as Iran intensifies retaliation following joint military strikes by the United States and Israel against Iranian targets. Those attacks triggered a chain reaction across the region, and now Iran appears to be expanding its response. According to emerging reports, Iranian drones and missiles have begun targeting sites connected to the United States and its allies across the Gulf. In the Saudi capital of Riyadh, explosions were reported near the U.S. Embassy complex. Officials say drones struck the diplomatic complex, causing structural damage and forcing personnel to shelter in place. Two sources familiar with the incident told reporters that one of the drones may have struck facilities connected to the Central Intelligence Agency station housed inside the embassy complex. If confirmed, it would represent a major symbolic strike, targeting not just a diplomatic facility, but one of the United States' key intelligence hubs in the region. According to internal alerts cited in reports, the impact partially collapsed sections of the embassy roof and filled parts of the compound with smoke. Emergency procedures were immediately activated. Staff were ordered into secure areas as the compound assessed the damage. Neither Washington nor Saudi Arabia has publicly confirmed the full extent of the strike, but the decision to evacuate non-essential personnel suggests officials are preparing for further attacks.